Hello, y'all, and welcome back to another episode of the Booty Radio F1 Team, my team career mode in F1 2025, because that is quite the mouthful, and I just let it run and go. We are here starting the second half of Season 2, and we are at Spa-Francorchamps, and we are kicking the second half of the season off with a sprint event. We got an unrain-affected weekend last time out to break the doldrums of the weather, but as you can see on the screen here, we've got a rainy sprint qualifying session and potentially some rain in the race as well. Let's take a look at the weather forecast specifically. Looks like the sprint itself qualifying and even the race, just a tiny bit of rain at the end. So it's really the qualifying session that is going to be the sprint qualifying session that is going to be the tricky portion. We can leave that on, that's fine. Just getting the engine components switched in as usual. And of course, we are up just about to the 50-point margin for ourselves. Joshua scoring a good set of 12 points. He's fallen a little behind Alonso and Gasly the last couple of weeks. He was competing with them close to us. Be nice to see Joshua get into that top 10. But the other cars around us have taken a bit of a step forward in performance. We're on a decent run of point scoring results, 5 in a row now. Hopefully, we can keep that going here in Spa, and hopefully, we can get Joshua back on the point scoring train. He was on a 3-race run before a DNF in Canada kind of put him on the back foot because then he had to take an engine penalty in Austria and Silverstone. He just wasn't quite there as the other teams have jumped up around us. The championship is looking interesting up at the top. Lando Norris has won the last 2 races and is starting to take control of it over the Ferrari of George Russell. But still, quite a bit of time left to go in this season. Only, 39 points splitting the top 3, so plenty of opportunity. Let's get after the sprint qualifying and see if we can survive the pouring rain.
High-speed straights, heady elevation changes and dramatic corners. What is there not to love about today? It's qualifying day here at Spa-Francorchamps.
Well, here we are getting ready for our first flying lap. Track is greasy but not super wet, so there's some grip out there to be had. Let's figure out where exactly it all is and see if we can't put up a decent lap. Seems like the weather is going to kind of hold station. Doesn't seem to be getting any better or worse. So I don't know that there's going to be any advantage or disadvantage from going out super early. Turn 1, always tricky. And gauging what you can do up the hill of Eau Rouge and Ready. I think it's going to be a lift, a downshift. Probably could have gone almost just a blend. Lift the throttle a bit. Track grip is not too bad at this stage, all things considered. And of course, we are on the intermediate tires. Unlike our last few rainy qualifying sessions where it always seems like we were on the full wets and having to really struggle to get the car around the track, the inters definitely feel a bit more grippy. Huan, always a tricky corner, downhill, very fast in the wet. In the dry, it's just about flat out on qualifying, that double left-hander. So maybe for Grand Prix qualifying, you get to see that foot flat to the floor. But navigating the middle sector, and just about flat out through Paul Frere there, that right-hander. The better you can take that right-hander, the better you'll do because such a long run flat out. Let's see, 152 is Carlos's time. Blanchimont, though, that left-hander was flat out. That 53.6. Quite low on battery, so we won't be able to go back-to-back fast laps, I don't think. We'll have to recover the battery and then go again. But we got the fuel to do it. The switch it into Paul Frere. It is indeed flat out. And now we can get that battery deployment going. On pace for a decent improvement in the lap time. Bit of a lockup on the way into the corner. About a second improvement. The question is, are we going to be able to get back around, back out for another lap? I don't think we will. I think that's going to be it for us this qualifying session. We don't have the fuel to do another lap, and we don't have the time to get back to the pits, fuel up, and then get back out and go for another run.
And that's it for sprint qualifying. Plenty more coming up over the rest of the weekend. So we'll see you all tomorrow.
So shuffled down a few positions after coming in. Joshua just edges us out by 0.02 of a second. But starting 10th and 11th, we're close enough to within touching distance to potentially get some points in the sprint. Only the top 8 scoring, obviously. Who is mixing up? It's Yuki and just being behind Gasly. So, let's see what we can do in the sprint. We're going to have to get by Joshua. I wouldn't be upset if Joshua scored points either, though. That would be good.
Welcome to today's sprint. This is shaping up to be another fantastic weekend. Spa-Francorchamps today, a circuit that spans 4.35 miles. There are tons of elevation changes along the way too. 19 corners making up this circuit, with 9 of those to the right and the remaining 10 to the left. This track's a great one for fans of pure speed, and the average lap speed comes close to a whopping 145 miles per hour. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Senna, Leclerc, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, and Piastri, Russell, Gasly, Tsunoda, Pierce, Martins, Sainz, Esteban Ocon, and Hülkenberg, Albon, Fernando Alonso, Gabriel Bortoleto, and Ollie Behrman, Stroll, Doohan, Lawson, and Isaac Hadjar rounds off the grid. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We'll soon find out.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Alright, let's get ourselves to the right fuel level. We'll just put it right at... well, what does my math say? It should be based on practice program. 2.13 times 8, so 2.2 times 8 should be 16.4. No, that's not right. 17.4. 17.0. Ha, I can do math. Which would have basically been what we had before. 8.5 laps. Let's get after it. All right, grid is formed up. Let's see if we can't get ourselves into the potential points paying positions here right off the bat. Conservative run off the line here. But the door opens on the inside for us. We're going to have to stay real tight to the wall. Ooh. That definitely upsets the rear of the car. Big snap of oversteer, but we are past Tsunoda, and we are looking at the back now of Pierre Gasly, who is in that last sprint point position. We have got pretty good straight line speed, it would appear. And oh, he's pushing us onto the grass. Just chop the nose. He's not there to take the position. And up we go into P8. Now, we need to try to make sure that we run away with this group over these 8 laps. And maybe if we're lucky, Gasly can kind of play rear gunner against Tsunoda for us. Turn up the engine mode now that we're out of the start phase, just to, in general, utilize that hot lap mode. Well, all in all, a fairly solid first lap to start the race. Use some of the battery, see if we can't close the gap to the cars ahead and be inside DRS. Although it looks like, even with the battery deployment, they are quick in a straight line. Ooh, a little late on the brakes there. Nearly got into the back of George. Luckily, he turned in and was able to avoid a big mistake and potentially a big crash by me there. But let's settle in. Pushing just a little too hard, I think. But now we're seeing what those top teams are capable of. And considering the gap that Gasly just made on me on that straight while we both had DRS, it's going to be tough to defend from him if I lose DRS. See how quick Puon is in the dry, even on medium tires in race conditions. Just a lift of the throttle and a downshift, and the car gets into that corner quite well. We just need to scrape a little bit of slipstream would be nice. We can start closing the gap to these cars ahead. A bit early on the brakes there, but it's the job done. And let's have a better run down to turn one here, huh? Not maybe so crazy. That's more like it. Turns out there is an apex there somewhere. Don't think we quite cleared Gasly's DRS. I think we're just outside. He was just inside of it still. 1.5 the margin to Tsunoda behind us. So he's gotten past Gasly and is showing good speed. We are going to need to hold on for dear life, because I think there's a good chance he gets to attacking range down the last straight on the way into the bus stop. I might even need to do a little lift and coast into the Lake Home chicane up here. Fuel mix is just marginal. Tiny lift there. 1.4. Ooh, big understeer on the way into no name there. That definitely upset the car. Big lift there. Goal is just to have enough fuel and enough battery to defend down the last straight, which I think we'll be okay on fuel, just barely. Battery we should be fine as well. Last thing we need is the gap, 1 second. Full deployment. Should have enough battery just to push the rest of the way to the line. He's about 9/10 back, so I think we've got him in hand. do manage to hold him off just as it
And
switches
that's
to low
the end of the
fuel
race.
mode.
We'll see you in Park
And we
Verde.
limp across the line. We score a point in the sprint race, which is pretty great.
Well, that's an end to the sprint action. Next up, we'll set the grid for the Grand Prix. So we'll see you next time.
So Joshua did slip back a spot. His overall pace not quite there, but you know, on the border of points, all it takes is a little something, and it could be good news for us. We'll take a look at the standings and stuff after the Grand Prix goes by.
High-speed straights, heady elevation changes and dramatic corners. What is there not to love about today? It's qualifying day here at Spa-Francorchamps.
Okay, dry qualifying session here for the Belgian Grand Prix. The main race, of course, this time. Let's see what kind of lap time we can get on our first run here. In the full dry conditions, which feels nice. Decent run down to turn one. I think the right move not to grab 8th gear there. Let's get down the hill. Up and through Arouge and Radion. Aim for taking the short line over the top of the crest there. And then down the Kemmel straight. Burning battery the whole way. Into the Lake Home chicane. Now down to Rivage. And get that car right to the apex. Probably could have carried a little more exit speed. But I'm not complaining. Now let's see. Are we flat? We are flat out through that corner. Maybe could grab 7th gear when the revs come down just to get a little more exit out of the corner. We still have the fastest first sector of anyone, so we're pretty good in a straight line, it would appear. Although, not many people have done laps yet, so. Not going to worry about any battery exiting the final corner. .9, only a 10th off of Yuki Tsunoda, which is one of the top cars. Granted, he's usually the lowest qualifying of those top cars, but I will take a 140.9 for the first run of the day. All right, and a nice provisional P7 after most cars have gotten their first runs in. We're out on the used tires, so we'll see what we can do on these that have taken a little bit of a beating. And as usual, we'll get in and do our final run on the new set. Definitely feeling the little bit less traction grip there, getting out of the corner. Ooh, took too much of that corner that time, so that'll be the end of that. Trying to straight line it as much as possible. Here we go for the final run of qualifying. Fresh set of tires on. Sitting provisional P8, although usually there's quite a bit of improvement in this last run from most drivers because the track ramps up in those last 5 minutes. Little hesitant on the throttle out of turn one, but we did find just a little bit of time. Pretty safe on the run over Radion there at the top. A little deep, not quite the lake home I wanted. Shuffle down to P9 already. Yeah, that downshift to 7th helped me pull a little more out of the corner. I think I've used a little too much battery early on. We're actually going to lose some time on the way to the run to the line. We actually do not improve. Used up too much battery early on and didn't have it for the important run to the line. P9, though, is not a bad starting position inside the points. We do get beaten to the line by a Williams of Carlos Sainz by just a couple hundredths of a second. We're on track for a big improvement. We could have been up near P5, but that does bode well for race pace. Antonelli down in P10. I would expect he should get through pretty easily, but we'll always see what we can do.
Welcome then, as we take a step back into the nostalgic golden days of motorsport. Spa is unashamedly a throwback, and all the better for it. Climbs, drops, sharp turns, chicanes, sweeping high-speed corners, all while taking in some of the most beautiful scenery that Europe has to offer. This might sound like a travel brochure, but it's not. It's a race day. Welcome along to Spa-Francorchamps for the Belgian Grand Prix. So here we are once again, ready to go racing through the Ardennes forest. 4.35 miles of long straights, fast corners, and massive elevation changes. It makes this not only one of the most exciting circuits on the calendar, but one that makes for some consistently high-quality racing as well. Simply put it, there's no place quite like it. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Senna, Tsunoda, Charles Leclerc, and Russell, Martins, Antonelli, Albon, and Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Doohan, Esteban Ocon, and Pierce, Verstappen, Bortoletto, Carlos Sainz, and Nico Hülkenberg, Hadjar, Behrman, Lawson, and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. And now it's time to head down to the track.
We've got a great chance of getting another points finish in this race. Keep it clean and hopefully we can work our way up the field.
Okay, so fuel-wise, 22 laps means we need 46.8, 46.9, let's call it, because we had to do a little bit of saving at the end. I think it's gonna be better for us to start on the hard tire, actually. In practice, the warm-up of the hard tire was pretty brutal. So if we can, it was taking like 2 racing laps to get the hard tire up to temperature. So I think if we start on the hard tire, we can use the formation lap to try and get it up to temperature as quickly as possible, and then go from there. 2-stop is just out of the question. Do I go 11-11? No, because we're going to lose time eventually. Yeah, let's go for the 1-stop. We'll start on the hard tire. May cost us some... It'll make it hard to stay with this front group, but I think that's the better situation to drive the race. In the middle of the race will be real tough on the hards if you're having to warm them up for 2 laps. And it puts us on the slightly softer tire if the rain does arrive, but not heavy enough to... Here we are on the hard tires. Worked them as hard as we could on the formation lap. And still, tons of wheel spin getting off the line. And we're going to get boxed in here. Really tricky way to start this race. And the fight between, looks like Verstappen and Sonoda and Leclerc is making all their jobs quite difficult. As expected, Antonelli has cleared Alex Albon and is now looking at our gearbox next. I'm burning tons and tons of battery to see if we can't get a move on Russell into the bus stop here. And the answer is no. Front tire grip just not what it needs to be to have the kind of advantage on braking. And that's the kind of pain I was expecting to take for starting on the hards. But I'm glad to only take, the opening lap to deal with it as opposed to multiple laps in the middle of the race when we're potentially racing for an under or overcut. Car's very understeery at the moment. Probably need to add some front wing at the first stop. We'll see how it develops. Hard tires are up to their full operating temperature at this point. And there's the straight line speed of the Mercedes. Could be a pretty easy maneuver for Kimi Antonelli to get by us. Try and stay connected to this Mercedes. We need the help of the fast cars. I think I just let Verstappen through here. I don't think I fight this. We tuck in, we hope that Albon stays outside of that lovely 1 second margin at the detection point, which it looks like he's done. Whew, that's a lot of sliding. Verstappen, what are you doing? How are you that slow through the Lake Home chicane? I'm not even attacking you. It's a very messy couple of corners for him there. And we'll take the track limits warning. It's only one. – And we need to try this time to keep ourselves a reasonable comfy distance. We couldn't really do it because we had Albin closing the DRS range. But we want to make sure it's a distance that he's not going to defend. Although, where's the front end of this car? Looking forward to seeing what the variance is from our best lap on this one. 45.1 is the best lap. We're obviously not going to be there, but how far off that pace are we? Are we 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds? .5, not bad. We are actually going to lead a race for a short time here. Well, we won't get an official lap led. But we are running P1. Currently it says rejoin position is 11th. Now we're jumping to 9th. So we might stay out ahead of those two drivers. And we're just driving our own in-lap. I'm not trying to worry too much about the cars in my mirror, as quick as they are. In fact, I'm going to be using battery to make sure that they don't lunge me into important corners. So I don't want to lose any time that I don't have to. And as we learned with trying to let Verstappen through this section last time, they're not very great at it. So we are going to hold the inside. Pretty good pit entry. Pretty good pit entry. The question is, where do we come out with respect to our rivals? Need a good stop, lads. Good stop. There's Verstappen right ahead of us. We are out into clean air. Wow, we actually grew the gap to Albin. And Joshua is now in P11. Good for him. So I don't expect that I'll have the pace to really catch Verstappen up and contend with him in clean air. We'll see after this first lap or so what the gap looks like. We might put in a full battery push kind of lap. See if we can get back into his DRS, but I think the probably wiser maneuver is going to be to just sort of go for some tire preserving strats to make sure that Albin doesn't start taking chunks of time at us at the end. Only 9 laps to go in this. Oh, Joshua with another DNF. He is pulled over to the side in Sector 2, at the end of Sector 2. It's not what we like to see. Unfortunate, another failure for Joshua. No safety car to bunch the field or anything, though. Let's go for the move on Verstappen here. We're going to clear him. Let's see if we can catch up Tsunoda since we've got the good pace in these tires. We can attach ourselves to another DRS train. We might be able to come somewhere other than 9th or 10th. Bit of understeer there. Another purple in the middle sector. I think it's a fair gamble at this point. Because even if the tires fall off and Verstappen re-overtakes us, we've still got a huge gap back to Alex. Oh, fastest lap of the race. We are on the move right now. Maybe we just keep doing the same. Antonelli 2.5 up the road. Another move done on a Red Bull. Now looking ahead at Andrea, Kimi, Antonelli. Don't have the battery to spend really to catch him. I need to give some battery recovery. Okay, I think we got the DRS. We did. Battery is running pretty low though. Ease in a little bit closer each lap. Three laps to go. Tires do appear to be holding on for now. Need to burn battery again. Just stay in here. Pretty much even Stevens with where we were last time. I don't think we've quite got it. A solid effort to close the gap initially to Antonelli, but just the difference between the mediums and the hards. What allowed me to catch him eventually was the undoing as they faded out. I do definitely think I made the right strategic choice starting on the hards because I was able to immediately go out on the mediums and start running down the Red Bulls ahead. I think if I'm on the hard tires, there's significant warm-up issues because, as I've talked about in other races, the AI comes out of the pits at optimal tire temperature. We do not. We have to get the tires warmed up just the way that it simulates tires. So I think we would have lost a fair bit of time in that middle section. And being able to get them almost to racing speed meant we only had, essentially, on the formation lap, meant we really only had one lap of non-ideal tire temperatures. But here we are on the final lap. We closed the gap to Antonelli and got just within DRS touching range, but ultimately the performance of the medium tires fell off compared to the hards and we dropped back again. However, a good charge on the tires after the pit stops to get by both Red Bull cars. The gap is closing quickly to Tsunoda, but I think we've built up just about enough of a margin, kind of like we did in the sprint. And we'll have just enough battery, and I think we're well fine on fuel. Yeah, we're totally good on fuel. To secure a P7 finish and ahead of both cars of a top 4 team. I know Red Bull's been kind of falling down the performance charts compared to the other top 3 teams, but it had still been pretty much a locked in for, the top 4 teams. Unfortunately, Joshua running P11, maybe a chance to score a point, had his retirement. So I think he's going to unfortunately need to take probably another engine penalty before the end of the season, considering he's had a couple of DNFs now. But out of Paul Frere, on our way to Blanchimont, 1.9 seconds the margin. Lando Norris, the race winner, and we are not that far behind, all things considered. One of our closer to the leader finishes. We come out of the final corner. Tsunoda in our rearview mirror, but we consolidate that nice P7 finish.
Here's the checkered flag, and our winner has Landoed. It's Lando Norris for victory.
And 3 wins in a row now, of course, Croft. You've thrown the gauntlet down. The drivers are out there now. They realise that they are the target. They're the ones to beat. They've got the energy. They've got the momentum on their side.
And it's time for that special moment for our special 3 today. The podium awaits our top 3 finishers. He holds the trophy aloft, and why shouldn't he? A richly deserved win today for Lando Norris. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
7 points on the weekend is not a bad result. Lando Norris picking up some big points in the championship on his 3rd straight victory. Piastri P2. Leclerc jumped up to P5. Who fell down the order? Yuki fell down the order a fair bit. Senna also had a couple positions drop. Verstappen coming from P15. A decent result, as Alex Albon still rounds out the top 10. And Joshua, the only retirement in this race. As far as the standings go, it's really starting to open up the gap for Norris at the top. We are on 56 points. We did gain some ground on Yuki today, which is always nice, and have well separated ourselves from the teams at the back. Nearly 270 points. Very much in kind of a world of our own as far as overall points go. Although performance-wise of the car, if it was just Joshua in there, we'd be pretty much right there in the thick of it with Aston, Haas, and Alpine. But there have been some improvements by some of those other cars, so they could be coming for us later. We want to keep good performances rolling in. All right, sponsorships. Do we stick with Xenon, or do we start looking at other sponsors? We are definitely scoring more than 10 constructors in a season. I think it's time we might move on for season 3 to a new sponsor. 7th or better in the constructors is something we should be able to pull off, and it's a little more challenging than just scoring 10 points. Everybody else, 5 points, 10th. What do we got? Oh, we could counteroffer with Xenon. And it would lock in. Let's go with nah, we'll go with a new title sponsor. We've done what we can with Xenon. I think it's time for something new.
Great news, boss. The sponsor we were after are pleased with our proposals and are happy to sign.
So, starting next season, we'll have a new title sponsor on the car. Yeah, keep fan rating going up. Let's work through these quicker. Sentiment down because of the mechanical failure. That's not a surprise. Kind of expect to see that. What we got available in the research world? I'm not doing brakes. You can't make me. You just can't. They actually make the car worse, which is weird. So that's always going to be marked as something to do. Can start the dual development on this, though. That'll be nice. Ooh, lots of upgrades completed there. Wunderbar. Progress. What do we got? Decent jump, although, you know, it was a track that we performed well at, so Joshua needs some luck to go his way. I think we've got, what is that, Hungary next? Hungary, Netherlands, and Monza as the next stretch of 3 tracks. Component management, Joshua, I think is going to be, yeah, he had to take another MGUK, but for now, I think the rest of his components are runnable. Okay, next up, personnel. We do have facility improvements. Cool. And we can start developing the next 2 contract negotiations, sure. And that. 5 days for that one, and 7 days for that. Okay, see, now we're always going to have the little thing. Are you going to do this? No, I'm not. Can't make me. Yes.
Great news.
Supplier
the
upgrade.
development of a part is complete, and it's now ready for fitting. Be sure to visit the Assign Upgrades.
Okay,
screen.
upgrades
You
are
have
all
a
assigned. But thank y'all for joining me once again. We are headed to one of the tougher tracks to compete with the AI around the Hungaroring for round 14. But I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.